Welcome to my 2020 NBA playoff predictions covering the Western Conference. Yesterday, I covered the Eastern Conference. If you want to go take an in-depth look at that, go check it out. We'll be talking about it near the end of the video. But the West is tough. The first round is crazy. The second round is even crazier. And then the third round, oh my. Let's cover the teams and matchups first. We have the number 1 seed Los Angeles Lakers going up against the 8 seed Portland Trail Blazers. The 4th seed Houston Rockets against the 5th seeded Oklahoma City Thunder. The 3rd seeded Denver Nuggets versus the 6th seed Utah Jazz. The 2nd seed Los Angeles Clippers and the 7th seed Dallas Mavericks. It's a fun first round. Let's get started talking about the most interesting matchup. The Los Angeles Lakers versus the Portland Trail Blazers, who are on a roll right now. This is scary for the Lakers. I'd be afraid. I might just have a little Blazer bias in me because they're like one of my favorite teams. But the Blazers are healthy. They have Nurkic back. They got Whiteside. They got bigs to throw at AD. Unfortunately, LeBron's on the Lakers, and really Portland don't got anybody to match. Trevor Ariza would have been perfect if he was able to make it to the bubble. But LeBron is definitely going to have his way, just like the Portland Trail Blazers guards, CJ and Dame, are going to have their way against the Lakers guards. So this is by far one of the most interesting matchups in the first round because the Blazers, I feel, Dame and CJ alone could do damage to the Lakers. And I'm making a whole other video on the topic, but I truly believe the Blazers, if Nurkic was healthy, they could have won an NBA championship over the Toronto Raptors last year. Obviously, that is a big what if, and that's the reason why I want to talk about it more in the near future. But the Blazers aren't beating the Lakers. I hope they do. Lakers in 7. From LA to LA, now the Clippers matchup between the Dallas Mavericks. Another interesting matchup. I don't think this one is as exciting as the Blazers and Portland matchup, but this is still going to be a battle for the Clippers. There are no easy first round games, I feel. Luka's first playoff experience, he's going to go crazy. The Mavericks definitely aren't supposed to be here, but they're here. And although I don't feel this is their year to do anything drastic in the playoffs, they're one piece away from being a very scary team. It's going to be interesting to see what Luka can do over guys like Kawhi and Paul George. As amazing as Luka is, it's not his time yet. Next year, if they change the guys around them, with Courtney Lee's contract coming off, they're going to be able to sign very, very good players and drastically improve from this year. I have the Clippers beating the Mavericks in 6 games, followed by the 3-6 matchup between the Denver Nuggets and the Utah Jazz. Originally, I really wanted to give this clean in 5 games to the Denver Nuggets, but I took a little gander at the rest of their roster, some of the injuries they had, how they've been playing recently, and I think this is going to be a battle. These are very, very similar teams with a good big, a good guard. It'll be interesting to see if guys like Will Barton and Gary Harris finally start playing within the bubble, or if the Denver Nuggets are going to have to rely on their younger guys like Bol and Michael Porter Jr. First time being in the playoffs, that's a pretty big role to give them right away. It really comes down to the role guys, to be totally honest, between these two teams. The big thing that hurts the Jazz is having one of their starters out, Bogdanovic, who played amazing this season, not playing anything in the bubble. I have the Denver Nuggets beating the Utah Jazz still in 7 instead of 5 like I originally planned. Then the last matchup of the first round, the Houston Rockets and the Oklahoma City Thunder, the 4-5 seed. The big thing to look out for is if Chris Paul is 100% ready to go. This was the big trade in the summer. Chris Paul and Russell Westbrook trading teams, and now they're playing against each other. It's going to be interesting to see how that dynamic works out. And ultimately, whoever wins this wins the trade, right? Chris Paul and the Oklahoma City Thunder aren't supposed to be here. They what they have, like a 0.3% chance of making the playoffs, and here they are as the 5th seed, 5th best team in the West. The Thunder have a bunch of guys that know their role. I feel like they're overall a deeper team than the Houston Rockets, but the Houston Rockets, the unconventional way they're playing with PJ Tucker, a 6'5" small forward, playing at center, I want to see that work. I want to see another shift in the NBA because centers are a dying breed. And if this works to a certain extent, that it has already. It's going to be interesting to see what other teams are able to do next season to either copy that or go against that. OKC has Steven Adams. I think the Houston Rockets, you can't. James Harden dropping 40 points a game. I can't have them lose the first round. I don't think it's going to happen. I have the Rockets in 6. Second round between the Los Angeles Lakers versus the Houston Rockets. And then we got the Denver Nuggets versus the Los Angeles Clippers. We'll start up at the top. The Lakers versus the Rockets. Although I just praised how much I wanted to see the Houston Rockets work with their 6'5" center, I think the best situation for the Rockets would have been the Clippers, considering they don't have like a dominant big man like AD or Jokic. So I don't see that working out ultimately against the Los Angeles Lakers with AD. But once again, just like how Dame and CJ are going to cook the Lakers guards, I feel like that's going to be the same situation against this Rockets team. Their guards are going to have their way. Russell Westbrook, James Harden specifically, if he's able to drop 40, 50 points per game in this series, they're definitely going to win. But if that is not the case, which, I mean, he's human, I see the Lakers beating the Rockets in 6 games. Then we have the Denver Nuggets versus the Los Angeles Clippers. I'm not a big fan of this one. I feel like the Denver Nuggets would have had a better chance against the Lakers, and the Houston Rockets would have had a better chance against the Clippers. I don't know. That's just me. I could just be reading into too much, but the Denver Nuggets definitely have been unlucky not making it past the second round since Jokic's time. They could have easily done it last year against the Blazers, but they went into like, what was it, like 3-4 OT game, and Jokic was like 50 pounds in that game. Clippers in 6, which leads us into the hopeful and destined LA versus LA, the Lakers versus the Clippers. This is basically the NBA Finals for a lot of people. If Kawhi beats the Lakers, he has another shot at stopping Giannis and going back-to-back, first with the Raptors and then with the Clippers. That would be absolutely crazy. And then if the Lakers win, you have the doing it for Kobe narrative. And I feel people just want to watch good basketball, especially during this time. Let's hope it goes to 7. I don't care who wins. I just want to see NBA Finals Game 7s, NBA Semifinals Game 7s. Let's make this last as long as possible, please. I feel like I'm falling for the hype. From what I see people talk about the Lakers, from what the media talks about the Lakers aren't that good of a basketball team. Yes, they have LeBron. Yes, they have AD. But outside of that, the Clippers are a better team. My heart's telling me, pick the Lakers. It's a feel-good story. We could all use a feel-good story, right? But my brain is saying the Clippers going to win in 6, go to the finals. Kawhi's in a back-to-back with 2 different teams. And if the Lakers somehow make it to the finals, whoever's waiting on the East, they're just going to have their way with them. If we look at the road to get here for the Lakers, I don't even know if they make it this far. That's what my brain's telling me. But I want to believe the Lakers are going to get this far and they're going to go on to the finals. So let's talk about the finals. Lakers versus the Milwaukee Bucks. If you haven't watched my Eastern Conference video and you want to see a full in-depth discussion about that, go check it out. Now that we're here, looking at each team individually and the players surrounding their star players, Giannis's team is really average, but so are the Lakers when you look at it. But the difference between Giannis's team and the Lakers team is that all the pieces around Giannis fit Giannis. I don't see how these players fit LeBron and AD, JR, Dion Waiters. I don't know if those are the players, you can rely on. I mean, JR has definitely proven that. I'm going to pick the Lakers. I feel like a majority of people are going to pick the Lakers. Why did I pick the Lakers? I just can't give you a straight answer. That's why, because I don't know. If I was realistic, I'd say if the Lakers are this far against the Bucks, I'd pick the Bucks. If the Clippers and the Bucks were in the finals, I'd pick the Clippers. If it was any other team outside of the Lakers and Clippers, the Bucks definitely winning. So you see, I just gave you 4 different answers, and somehow I'm still going to end up being wrong. But I need a definitive answer, so let's just say the Lakers in 7, even though if I don't necessarily believe it,
That's what I'm giving you. The more and more I talk, the more and more I don't even believe my own picks. So we're gonna leave it at that and say Lakers, the 2020 NBA champions. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Am I an idiot for picking the Lakers? Because I kind of feel like one right now. But let's have a discussion in the comments. Leave a like, subscribe, check out some of these other videos, and I'll talk to you in the next one.